Am I the asshole? For refusing to sell the family cabin or buy out my siblings unless they agree to my terms. My mom passed away about 6 months ago. My father passed away a couple years before that. After my dad died, I put in a lot of time and effort helping my mom. My two younger siblings 35F 32M did not do much of anything to help after my dad's funeral. They are both married and each have 2 kids. I am single and have no kids, so I had the time to help my mom and I'm grateful for the time that allowed me to have with her. My parents owned a cabin on a lake that was built by my dad's father decades ago. My dad and I spent a few years doing a bunch of renovations about a decade before he died. We tore a lot of it down to the studs and rebuilt it. My parents had to refinance their mortgage to do the work. Before my mom died, she expressed her desire to leave the cabin to myself and my siblings, split 3 ways. I told her that could cause some issues and be complicated financially. But, the cabin was their largest asset and she wanted it to be split amongst the 3 of us. At first, my siblings were happy about the cabin being split between us. Then, they realized that my parents still had a mortgage on the property after my mom died. And that property taxes on lake property are incredibly expensive. Since all 3 of our names were put on the title and mortgage, we are all legally liable for the mortgage and taxes. And to put it simply, neither of my siblings are in a position to afford it. Nor did my mom have enough money left to pay off the mortgage in a lump sum. My siblings have been pressuring me to sell the property. I straight up refused because I literally have blood, sweat, and tears in that place. They then suggested that I buy them out of their share so they aren't responsible financially. I was open to the idea until they both said that they want to continue to bring their families there like they always have. I told them that if I buy them out, the cabin is mine, not ours. I told them if they want to bring their families there that they will need to clear it with me first. I told them I would install a security system and change the locks as soon as the paperwork is signed. I told them I would probably use it as a rental property and that they couldn't just use it whenever they want. They both got upset and told me I was being selfish and unreasonable. We all have great memories of the cabin as kids and they want their kids to grow up building the same memories. I told them as long as they clear it with me first, they can use it. But it isn't going to be like it was when my parents owned it and they just showed up whenever they wanted. They both basically gave the similar versions of "won't you think of your nieces and nephews? You're depriving them of amazing memories that we all had together." They think I'm being petty and selfish. Maybe I am. But it's not my fault they can't afford it. I miss my mom, but I wish I could tell her "told you so." They can't have it both ways. Either they partly own it and have to pay, but in return have access. Or they don't have to pay but don't have access. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, they want the use of the beach house but not the responsibility of ownership. Not the asshole, if you bought out the siblings, it would be your cabin and your terms. Probably could have saved yourself some trouble by telling them after the purchase. Hindsight is 20/20 though. Not the asshole. And your siblings need to be paying their share of the mortgage, taxes, insurance, and maintenance until they sell their share of the property. Not the asshole. Why would they think that's okay to not make any payments but use it like they were? It would be so smart for you to rent it out, just use it when it's not rented and the rent will likely pay your bills. They both got upset and told me I was being selfish and unreasonable. They want continued use of the cabin after you purchase each of their shares in said cabin. They are the ones being selfish and unreasonable, not the asshole. Nta. So they want to keep the privileges and ownership without the financial hassle? The entitlement. Nta, if you own it, it's yours, not community property. Your terms are entirely reasonable. So basically it's like they want to sell their car, but still be able to drive it whenever they want? The entitlement they want has a price tag: mortgage, maintenance and property taxes divided by 3. SMH. Yunta. Not the asshole. You've got reason to want to hang on to the cabin, and they are unable to afford the finances of co-owning it. From what info you've provided, you've offered some reasonable allowances for them to still have access to the place. Not the asshole, you are doing nothing wrong. Not the asshole, it sucks, but they can't have everything. Not the asshole. You're being generous to take on the full financial burden and let them have conditional use. Renting it out for vacationers is a great way to recoup the expenses, and could be done by the three just as easily as by yourself. What is wrong with you? They want to have their cake and eat it too. How selfish and cruel of you not to fund the cabin dreams of your deadbeat siblings. Fuck him and the entitled horse they rode in on. Stand your ground. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, they won't have free rights to it if you sell it to someone else. Why should they if they sell it to you? They are being very selfish. Where's the executor in all this? The estate will pay the tax bills and the mortgage until it runs out of money, then the assets have to be sold. You can't refuse, it's not your property, it's the estate's. They are acting so entitled. Not the asshole, they can take their bullshit to another farm. They want to upside of the cabin and an inheritance while you deal with the costs and upkeep. Selfish fuckers don't get to have their cake and eat it too. Not the asshole, this is exactly why I laughed at one of my cousins years ago when he said all of us grandchildren purchased my grandfather's lake property after he died. Thankfully a beautiful couple bought it. Not the asshole. That's the one problem with having a vacation property. Too many people think they are entitled to use it whenever they want. Why don't you look into doing Airbnb enough to pay off the monthly mortgage taxes and then split up the remaining weeks evenly between the three of you? Not the asshole. Your siblings politely asking a discount for when they'd like to reserve and use your cabin is pretty normal for families' friends. But them expecting a fully free ride whenever they feel like it? No. They're taking it too far. Not the asshole, they're entitled. Not the asshole, no free lunch. If they want continue use, don't buy out. Once bought out, they have no say. Sounds very reasonable. Not the asshole, your siblings want all the benefits of a cabin lake house with none of the responsibilities or financial obligations. Not the asshole, your compromise is reasonable, the cabin stays in the family and they don't have to pay for it. They're just being greedy at this point. Stick to your guns on this. Not the asshole, originally they wanted you to sell it so they wouldn't have had access to it at all if you did. Like, did they believe they could still use it if it belonged to someone else? Keep doing what you're doing. Not the asshole. If they want to be able to use it whenever like they own it, they can keep owning it. If they want to sell it to you, it's yours and you can do whatever you want. LMAO, not the asshole, so they want to pay nothing and still enjoy it like it's theirs. Not the asshole. They want a payday without giving up anything. That's unrealistic. I guess an alternative option would be for the family as a unit, 3 siblings agreeing to rent it out to pay for the mortgage and taxes they can't afford and then using it when it's not rented. You know your siblings can hire lawyers and force you to sell the cabin, right, because there is 2 of them and 1 of you? Your deal doesn't sound unreasonable, but if I was in their shoes I would force a sale. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. If they want unlimited access, they can pay their fair share. Otherwise, they can schedule time through you and be grateful you're not charging them rent when they go. So, they want their share of the mobility from the cabin and the cabin simultaneously, with you footing the bill? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I'd say nah, but your siblings appear a little entitled considering how reasonable your expectations are. Your siblings sounds like total idiots. It's win for everyone for you to do exactly as you planned. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. If you buy them out, then they can take that money and go on fabulous vacations with their families. They don't get to extract cash value out of the cabin and still get to treat it like their property. It just doesn't work that way. Not the asshole. They want the money and the ability to use the cabin whenever they want. That's laughable. Not the asshole. It sounds like your brother and sister want it both ways. They don't want any of the responsibilities that go with owning the property, but they want all the benefits.